I'm wondering for some time why it is that this recognition is different with some apparent objects more than others. It can be seen much more easily in humans and animals, and some sights more than others, some tastes more than others, and some music more than others. And I'm just wondering why. I don't understand why that is. Is there some explanation? Or?
So some objects are made from the understanding that we are discussing here, or at least from a partial understanding of it. So that object somehow conveys the capacity, that it has the capacity to convey the understanding with which it is made. Yeah. So let's say a painting. Someone is painting the world, but what they're looking at, they're not painting thinking, I'm going to depict a series of objects as accurately as I can. They're saying, I'm going to paint my experience. That they could paint, for instance, they could say, what I'm going to paint is just light. I'm going to do a landscape painting of the landscape from the window here, but I'm not going to paint fields and trees and walls and sky. And I'm just going to paint light, so that my painting has a feeling that all that is being seen is one thing, is light. So if you do that as a painter, even if you just have the intention to do that as a painter, your painting will somehow reflect back the attitude with which it was painted. And then you can go even further as a painter. You can say, instead of painting light, I'm going to try to paint the fact that all I know is the knowing of my experience. All that is being experienced is knowing. And I'm going to try and paint what I see in such a way that it sends the message to the viewer. What you're seeing is made out of pure knowing. It's not a depiction of objects. So such an object, when you see it, it doesn't evoke this train of thought. I'm giving you the explanation. But when a painting is painted with this understanding, it has the power to take you to the experience with which it was painted. That's the power of art. It has this power in it to deliver the experience from which it was made. That's what a work of art is. That's why we have art in our culture. So there are certain objects whose purpose in life is to reveal this understanding that we're talking about. And it's relatively easy in the presence of such an object to if you're sensitive and receptive, to be taken to where the painting in this case is trying to take you. Now there are other objects whose purpose in life is not to deliver this understanding. For instance, the purpose of a tomato ketchup advert is not to reveal the nature of experience. It's to make you think that you need tomato ketchup to be really happy. Yeah. So it evokes in you the feeling that it's trying to give you. In other words, it asserts the object. And so those kind of objects, the tomato ketchup advert, are not as efficient at delivering this understanding. In fact, have the power, the seeming power, to take us into separation. So, and then there are other objects which are not, I'm describing two types of made objects, made by man, a work of art and a tomato ketchup advert. But there's another class of objects which is just nature, which is not made by man and is inherently without any sense of separation. There's nothing in nature that is persuading you to think and feel on behalf of a separate self. On the contrary, it's just inviting you to be totally one with it. So that's why we love to walk in nature, because whether we know it or not, it's an invitation to this experiential understanding. So that's why we feel a different quality. And when we're with people, for instance, if we're with someone who shares this understanding, even if it's not formulated, they don't have to ever have heard of non-duality or be spiritual in any way. But if they, in their experience, they share this openness and this intimacy, then when we're near such a person, we will feel their openness, their lack of defense, and that will either resonate with the openness that is already present in us, and there will be a kind of recognition, or it will awaken that part of us that is open but has been overlooked. So we will think, oh, I like to keep the company of this person because when I'm with her or him, I'm relieved of my tensions. I don't know why, I just go home feeling better. So yes, there are also some people, and the reason for that is these people are like works of art in human form. They're devoid of a sense of separation, or the sense of separation is greatly reduced, and therefore we feel it. Now that doesn't mean that the stuff out of which the tomato ketchup advert is made is essentially different from the work of art. It's not. It's all made of the same stuff. But it's less easy to see it to begin with in the tomato ketchup advert. It's more easy to see it. And a retreat is like a work of art. It's an object, in this case an event or a gathering, that is designed specifically to take us to the heart of experience. And then when we go back out into the world, so to speak, there are more tomato ketchup adverts around that would seem to take us into separation again. So then we come back to the work of art. We go back to, and after a while we go back out into the world, and fewer objects can really pull us out of this understanding. So then, in a way, the work of art has then done its function. The retreat has done its function. Because when we go back out into the world, we don't notice a difference. It's just the same quality. Being in retreat and being out in the world, it's all the same. We may still choose to go back to the retreat or the gathering just for the pleasure of being together, just like you go back to the work of art and just to listen to a piece of music, to see a painting, or to walk in nature, just for the joy of seeing this understanding expressed in form, just for the pleasure of going to. When you go to a work of art, you truly go to satsang. That's what a concert or an exhibition is. Ultimately, at its best, you go to an exhibition, you go to a concert, you go to satsang.
So there is not a real reason, it's just, it appears that these perceptions have different qualities, maybe at first, and the more one...
Well, these perceptions, that if they're man-made perceptions, like a work of art, a piece of music or a painting, they're all the elements, let's take a painting, all the colours, they're arranged in such a way that they draw attention to the light. They don't draw attention to the object. They don't scream with, I am an object-ness. The object is a kind of vanishing object. It doesn't take you towards the object, it takes you back in the other direction towards the light of awareness. And something about, in the case of a painting, something about the way the colours are arranged. They don't allow you to focus on an object. You can't find an object somewhere. You go into the painting like you go into a piece of music, but you can't rest anywhere. You think you're just about to rest on something if you're listening to a piece of music. You think you follow it, you've taken on this journey, you think you're just about to rest, and then you take off again, and you think you're going to rest, you take off, and you never land, you never complete that until in the end, at the resolution, you land, but you don't land on an object. You land in yourself. It's the same with a painting. You go on this journey through the painting when you can never say, I've come to rest here, I've come to rest on an object. You follow it and it leaves you it takes you from the seen to seeing, and from seeing to yourself. So when you start looking at a painting, you start as the seer and you go towards the seen. But the seen, when you approach it, it vanishes. You can't find it. And it takes you to the experience of seeing. The seer and the seen dissolve. You're just lost in seeing. There is just seeing. You're totally lost in the painting. And then seeing, eventually, it loses its colour and it just leaves you in yourself. Then you go out of the gallery, you go away from the painting, you go back on the street, and this quality lingers. You don't go back on the street and immediately recreate the object. You stay in pure seeing, and you realize that the painting was an instruction, an experiential instruction on how to see the entire world. The street, the underground, you see it in the same way. You take the same journey on the street that you took in the painting. You start off as a seer, exploring the scene, but you take the same journey that you take in the painting, and you dissolve as a seer, and as you dissolve as a seer, the scene dissolves, and there's just seeing, and then this, the sidewalk that you're walking along, it's just vibrant with light. It's just light. It's just made of knowing. It's made out of the same stuff as the painting that you were looking at. It's just made out of the light of awareness. So then there's no distinction anymore between what's art and what isn't. Art has taken you to the heart of experience, and you find it wherever you are.